Okay, so the main idea in fractional equation is to get rid of the common denominator. So in order to do that, we multiply everything throughout by the common denominator. If not, you can follow the two-step approach you can see on the left-hand side over here. First step, single fraction on each side. So notice for part B, I written the right-hand side over 1 to make sure it's a fraction. Then I can adopt the second step, which is cross multiply. Alright? Cross multiply. So I'm going to do the cross multiplication now. Okay? Numerator come out and meet the denominator come out and meet numerator. Cross multiply already. Then very good. Do simple expansion. Equate everything to 0. So after I expand the left hand side, I must make sure I equate everything on the right hand side to 0. So I need to minus off a 2q to equate to 0. Now, let me rearrange this quadratic equation that I have. Alright, remember to simplify such that it looks like a quadratic equation with your square term, the linear term, followed by the constant term. Now, use your calculator to check what is the solution you have. Don't bother factorizing. Why? So big, the numbers. If you factorize, you are wasting your time. Am I right? Use a calculator to check the answer first. Okay, after you press the calculator is some decimal number, remember, don't write the answer immediately. This means that you need a longer step by using the quadratic formula. Am I right? So never mind. Let me write the answer by the side first. Okay. So notice after I press the calculator, wow, I get two ugly and orbit solution. Okay, I cannot just play cheat and press and write the answer immediately. Am I right? I know I have to make use of the quadratic formula. So let us apply the quadratic formula. So remember to write down the quadratic formula. Now, very simple, insert your A, B, C respectively. After you insert your A, B, C, remember to evaluate the answer underneath the square root term. Okay, I just double check. The answer is 4.31 and 2.58 for the final answer using calculator. Make sure you write down the value of the evaluated terms underneath the square root. Then you can write down the two final answer after you have checked. Okay, remember, once you write down the answer, remember to underline your final solution. So in a typical question like this, it's worth 5 marks. Okay, so this is another fractional equation that we want to solve. Just now I gave you all a hint. Sometimes if it gets too complicated, use the F word. F for factorize. Notice the denominator for the second fraction can be factorized by using the idea of a squared minus b squared. I'm going to do that now before I make it into a single fraction and cross multiply, which was the idea that I did for the earlier example. Alright? Okay, I've rewrite the original denominator into the form where I can factorize. So I'm going to factorize right now. Okay, once I factorize, I would like to make sure on both sides of the equal sign there is one single fraction before I cross multiply. And take note, you can clearly see 1 minus 2t is common. So I only need to multiply by 1 plus 2t to the first fraction to make it a common denominator. I didn't do anything special. I combine it into a single common denominator. After that, I can do my cross multiplication. The good thing, the right hand side is number 1. So number 1 can be written as 1 over 1. Then I can do my cross multiplication and my simplification now. So I just do my cross multiplication. So the next thing I need to do is just to be very careful, simplify the terms, and the idea is to make sure I equate the right hand side to equal to 0, get my quadratic equation, and solve by quadratic formula. So remember, I would like to equate it to 0, but in this case, because I'm more comfortable with the t square being positive, and there's a reason why which I'll explain next time. So I'll write it this way instead. Then 6 minus 1 will give us a 5. Can I do it this way? But if you don't want to write this way, teacher, like that, ugly. Of course, you can straight away write this way as well. And then you can omit this step. After that, it's back to quadratic formula. So because I press using a calculator, I do not get nice numbers. Again, use back your quadratic formula. So again, I got 2 answers on the calculator. Estimated to 3SF, I just write by the side first. Negative 0.3698. Negative 3.380. So now I'm going to use the quadratic formula and then verify I'll get to the correct one as well. Plug in the respective value of A, B, C into the formula and evaluate. Take note, remember to evaluate the value underneath the square root term. Then give me the 2 final answer. Since they did not say anything, remember to give me the answer to 3SF. Alright, so in this case, okay, so both answer evaluated to 3SF.